Today, we are bringing you some of the most controversial and most expensive golf mix-ups in the history of the sport. Golf has evolved over the ages, but we simply can't get over these mix-ups that got staunch golf fans screaming out of their lungs. If you lack some good old armchair golf stories, these will give you enough to ramble about for the off-season. We must admit that mix-ups may be unfortunate for the golfers, but not for the fans. Mix-ups are a part of the sport that gives fans that dopamine rush to stare and pay more attention to the game, and particularly to give us some pleasure, especially when our favorite golfers' strangest and costliest mix-ups in golf history. Make sure to like this video and subscribe or stand the chance to get an extra stroke from us. Number 1. Bobby Jones, 1925 US Open. In the days when a man's name could make him a living, Bobby Jones was one who gave up his living for his reputation. The game between Jones and Willie McFarlane is known today as the gentleman's game, and for good reason. The game was held at the Worcester Country, where Jones exhibited what no one had expected from a man competing to win. It turns out that during the game, Jones violated a rule, but no one saw what he did. It was on the 11th hole that Jones had his club move the ball just a little bit at address. While no one saw this, not even his competitors, the officials who were keenly monitoring the game for these violations, and not even a single spectator in the crowd, Jones could have gone away with this small, negligible violation. But not Jones. He adhered to the gentleman's code, which cost him the game. He lost what would be a 36-hole playoff to McFarlane. This surprised everyone because Jones would have won if not for the single stroke he lost due to his honesty and gentlemanly exhibition. Number 2. Kevin Johnson, 1989 NCAA Championship. Johnson, a senior at Clemson, finished the second round at Oak Tree with the individual lead over Phil Mickelson, a freshman at Arizona State, and was then asked to participate in a news conference. Johnson placed his card on a table but did not sign it because there was no scoring tent. Johnson was informed that he had neglected to sign it before giving it in when he returned to get it after a volunteer had picked it up. After a 3-hour meeting that evening, the NCAA Golf Committee declared Johnson would not be disqualified before partially changing its mind the next morning. Johnson was able to participate for the Tigers in the last 2 games of the day's team competition, but he was disqualified from the individual competition. Mickelson won the very first of his 3 NCAA championships as Clemson dropped from 1st to 3rd. If Johnson's 72-hole score had been counted, his 70-73 would have defeated Mickelson. Number 3. Ian Woosnam, 2001 Open Championship. Woosnam's error in the final round of 2001 Open is right up there with Jean van de Velde's for Open infamy. Woosnam, who was 43 at the time, was in contention for a second career major after making a birdie on the first hole at Royal Lytham and St. Anne's. However, it was discovered on the second tee that the extra driver Woosnam had been practicing with on the range was still in his bag, implying that he was carrying 15 clubs, one more than the allowed amount. He is penalized 2 strokes and finished 4 strokes behind David Duval. Number 4. Bryan Davis, 2010 RBC Heritage. In regulation, Davis went flag hunting on Harbour Town's famous 18th hole, which resulted in a birdie that put him in a playoff with Jim Furyk. Davis went for the pin again in sudden death on the 18th fairway, but missed left into the hazard, his ball landing in the sand. When he returned to the club, it clipped a weed, which was a loose impediment. Davis immediately summoned rules official Slugger White to determine whether he had committed a penalty, which White confirmed. It was a 2-stroke penalty, and Furyk went on to win easily. Davis, now 46, has never won on the PGA Tour despite earning more than $13.3 million, the most non-tour winner. Number 5. Tiger Woods, 2013 Masters. On this list, one of the most infamous rulings occurred on Saturday morning after that Woods had taken a bad drop at the 15th hole, which he unknowingly revealed during a post-round interview on Friday. His score was changed to 73. After Woods described where he dropped his ball after hitting his approach off the flagstick and into the water, former PGA Tour rules official David Eager called in to say the drop wasn't in the proper spot. Woods is only penalized 2 strokes for the breach, which could have resulted in his disqualification. This resulted in a tie between them. Number 6. Dustin Johnson, 2016 US Open. Another dreaded ruling appeared to have jeopardized Johnson's first major victory. On a day when the greens at Oakmont were rolling like grass, Johnson ran into trouble at the par 4 5th green, where he addressed his ball, and it moved so slightly that only a super zoomed-in camera shot could detect it. The USGA scrutinized the video evidence for hours before informing him that he had been penalized a stroke on the 12th hole. Fortunately, Johnson won by 3 strokes, making the ruling irrelevant to the final outcome of the championship and saving the USGA from eternal wrath. Number 7. Phil Mickelson, 2018 US Open. Mickelson's moment of hitting a ball in motion penalty was not among the many unintentional penalties in the history of golf. The Shinnecock game held in 2018 had the golfer frustrated by the third round. It wasn't the game, but rather frustration over the years of punishment in the game and the many disappointments. Mickelson was 4 over par after 5 bogeys in his previous 8 holes when he faced a slick, downhill 18-footer for a bogey on the 13th hole. Mickelson's putt rolled past the hole without stopping before rolling off the front of the green. Mickelson, for some reason, ran after his ball and hit it while it was still moving on the green. When he factored in the 2-stroke penalty for hitting a moving ball, he ended up with a 10 on the hole. It's still the quintessential Phil being Phil moment. Number 8. Darren Clarke, 2019 US Senior Open. The 2019 US Senior Open was another source of a controversial mix-up that cost the player a hefty cost. The Northern Irishman Darren Clarke was the subject of this controversy. It all happened at the par 4 10th hole, where Clarke pulled his drive to the left. The golfer made his approach in what appeared to be a bird box shot. Then he had his caddy make a move. But this was a mistake, and it was considered to be immovable, hence the caddy was wrong to move it. This landed Clarke 2 strokes and a first-round 3 over 73. Number 9. Segundo Pinto, 2020 US Amateur. The 20-year-old Argentinian found herself in a mix-up when she was facing a greenside bunker shot. This happened during the 18th hole of the round 16 match held at the Bandon Dunes Golf Resort. For such a tight shot, Oliva took a closer look, examined the situation and what he could do about it. And that was what got him to make a costly mistake, or rather, his caddy. Here's what happened. While the golfer examined his options, his caddy stepped onto the sand. He then swiped that off using his hand. And if you know the rules, that is a problem, creating a clear breach, landing Pinto in hot waters, as he lost the match due to a loss of hole penalty. Interestingly, all this happened without the knowledge of poor Pinto, who was left with the bag and lost out. Number 10. Cameron Smith, 2022 FedEx St. Jude Championship. Unlike the other mix-ups in this video, this is the only one that we do not know what the consequences may be for Smith. Rules are rules, and Cam Smith admitted to breaking a rule he didn't know existed. Call it naive, but the ball was lying on the line. At TPC Southwind, Smith would have stood a better chance at winning if not for this infraction, potentially costing him the $18 million prize and making him world numbers on the red line. Smith responded yes. This qualified the golfer for a 2-stroke penalty, which forced Smith to start the final round 4 shots off the lead. As to whether this mix-up will cost him the championship, we don't know yet, but it has certainly reduced his chances by a huge gap. That's it, folks. Which of these do you think was an unfair mix-up? Let us know in the comments, and make sure to subscribe while at it. See you in the next video.